And so that was it. With a wave and a fist pump, it was all over, leaving the world, not least Americans, wondering, so what was the gain?
Honestly, he's going to do these things.
Calling it a tremendous 24 hours with a very talented Kim Jong-un, Trump had made a surprise promise to Kim.
We will be stopping the war games.
The pledge to end U.S.-led military exercises in the region was called stunning and unprecedented, something North Korea had long wanted, but that U.S. ally South Korea was evidently not even consulted on. The war games bolster South Korean security. In return came a vague pledge from Kim, light on any specifics, that North Korea would work toward nuclear disarmament. And while Trump seemed to give Kim the thumbs up on all this, lawmakers from both parties back home were unimpressed.
The United States has gained is vague and unverifiable at best. What North Korea has gained, however, is tangible and lasting.
Kim Jong-un is a butcher, and he is a butcher of his own people.
Two men, two leaders, one destiny.
Still, this video, which some first thought to be North Korean propaganda, was made by the White House for Kim. And indeed, some credit Trump for at least improving the tone with that country, though caution, the summit brought little else.
The improvement, that's a positive, but very short on substance, and that concerns me.
But in Trump's view, what's the harm? Nothing he did is irreversible, and with more talks likely, it's now up to Kim to follow through. Trust both of them, goes the suggestion from Trump, underlining he already trusts Kim Jong-un. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Now, trust is a tricky thing to build, and between the two Koreas, it is in very short supply. So how did South Korea feel about the outcome? Well, officially, they're very pleased with the summit itself. President Moon Jae-in, who watched it all unfold on television, praised Kim's willingness to attend. He has even optimistically vowed to write a new history with the North. But recall, as Paul mentioned, the surprise concession from the U.S. suspending joint military exercises. That could introduce more uncertainty on the Korean peninsula. Sasha Petrusik joins us now from Singapore for a deeper look. So, Sasha, how does that one shift change the equation in that part of the world?
Well, Donald Trump has managed to please his adversaries and to totally confuse his allies in this region. As we mentioned, this one particular move to cancel these war games. These are critical war games that really are a linchpin for U.S. policy, military policy in this part of the world. And the South Koreans have been counting on those. The official statement said something along the lines of that they were trying to figure out what exactly Donald Trump meant. And that's diplomatic speak for we don't know what's going on. In the background, off the record, the officials are saying they are shocked and surprised. China, on the other hand, is pleased. It says that this is exactly what it's been looking for, is some sort of a move by the Americans to prove that they are serious about peace in this part of the world. Of course, they're also happy about the fact that there will be fewer troops and less American military equipment right next door. And North Korea, we've just been seeing some of the reaction from state media there. They have been saying that the grand leader, the supreme leader, Kim Jong-un, has managed to get concessions from the Americans, and in particular, the end to these war games, as Donald Trump calls them. So all around in the region, it does change the lay of the land.
Right. And Sasha, I'm curious about economic sanctions that so far have put a chokehold on North Korea. What happens to those?
Well, clearly, maximum pressure is over. China is already asking for an end to the sanctions. It wants to continue trading. China is the main trading partner for North Korea, has been, and is likely to be looking the other way at goods crossing that border. Russia as well. So it really looks like the pressure is off, although it's not clear how much impact that will have as we keep going. Andrew?
Sasha Petrusik in Singapore. Thanks so much. Now, I want to bring in James Trottier. He's a fellow at the Canadian Global Affairs Institute and a former Canadian diplomat who led 4 diplomatic missions to North Korea. So, James, let me start with the question. I mean, is the world really a safer place now, or is it simply a safer place for now?
It's a safer place for now in comparison to what it was a year ago when the two sides were exchanging threats. So I think that the good chemistry at the summit between the President and Mr. Kim, it was useful for allaying some of those tensions and for ensuring that for the foreseeable future, for the immediate future, you won't have a resumption of the exchange of threats. Also, the discussions that Mr. Pompeo will undertake with his North Korean counterpart will be useful for opening up channels of communication.
Right, because I'm trying to figure out what is it that Kim Jong-un realistically could and must put on the table to keep the relationship going, to sustain Donald Trump's interest?
I think one of the things that he'll put on the table in due course will be the long-range missiles and also, of course, the continued moratorium on the nuclear and missile tests. But he won't put on his nuclear arsenal.
Well, so let me ask you about that, because I'm wondering if the ultimate end game for the United States this whole time has been the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, is that ever achievable given how much leverage nukes have given the Kim regime to begin with?
I don't believe it is achievable. I think that Kim knows that the only reason he's at that table is because he's a de facto nuclear state, and he intends to keep those armaments. I think, though, that he wants to have other things. He wants to grow his economy. He wants to restore his economy. He wants the removal of sanctions. So he will be looking to China to lead that effort. And I think that he will be successful in that regard because the Chinese are already easing off sanctions.
Well, and the long game, I suppose, is what much of the world is watching for as this plays out. James Trottier, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.